What's up everyone, this is EdTalenti and today we're going to talk about drums. I'm still dressed like all summery and I know it doesn't look like it, but it's really cold. It's coffee time. You guys commented on the tiny cup last time. This is how we drink coffee in Italy. I'm honestly not a huge fan. I miss like Starbucks, just like American coffee. But Italians drink little tiny coffees. So yeah. Alright, let's get to work. Alright, let's get right into it. So for today's video, I already have a melody prepared. I'm going to play it to you right now. And then we're going to start building the drums and the rest of the beat. While we're building the drums, I'm going to give you 5 different tips that are going to help you take your drums to the next level. So make sure to watch all the way through so you don't miss out on any of the tips. For today's video, we're going to mostly use sounds from the new cymatics pack called Viper. It's not out yet. It comes out on the 22nd, I think. And it's crazy. They sent me a preview. There's a bunch of sounds. It's a limited release. I think they only made about 1,700 copies available. So make sure to go to the link in the description, sign up for the waiting list. It's a dope pack. Alright, so here's the melody we're going to use. All I did was pitching it up by 2 semitones, but this is the original melody. And I added a second layer with shaper box to create kind of like an extra texture. So here's the original one. And here's the layer with shaper box. Alright, that's the melody. Let's start making some drums. Alright, the first tip for today is to build your drums like a melody. Now, when you create a melody, what are you trying to do? You're trying to build some tension within the melody and then release it at the end when it restarts. Now, a lot of people don't think of drums in these terms, but it's honestly the same thing. Whether you have a 4, 8, 16 bar loop, whatever it is, you want to make sure that within that loop you're creating tension and you're releasing tension. This doesn't have to be anything crazy, but as a rule of thumb, you want to start with less notes and you want to end with more notes. Now, the second tip that I have for you today is to fit your drums and your melodies like a puzzle. What do I mean with that? If you look here where my drums are hitting compared to the melody, you're going to start seeing a pattern. You can see that with every repeat, every strong note of the melody, my kick drum is hitting together with the melody. Like right here at the beginning, like right here, like right here. It's basically the beginning of every bar in this case. It doesn't always have to be like that, but in this case, it just happened to be at the beginning of the bar. So every time that there's a chord change, it's highlighted by my kick drum. So the piano is doing it, the kick drum is doing it, and eventually the 808 is gonna do it. So that new chord really hits you in the face. For everything else though, when the piano is doing like little melodies in between, it's doing like passing chords and stuff like that, I'm trying to avoid the piano. I'm trying to work around it so that kick drum and piano don't clash with each other. This is another really good way to create that tension release feeling because you have the one where everything hits and then during the bar they kind of like dance around each other and then boom, they come together on the one. Alright, let's add a percussion. Alright, my third tip for you today is to try not to overlap sounds. Now, this is something that I see done in a lot of beats that I listen to out there, and it's not necessarily a mistake, because if it's done properly, it works. But generally, when you start to layer sounds and you start putting percussions on top of each other, or you create parts for them that kind of like overlap with each other, then you start having some problems and it doesn't sound as clear and as like punchy. So when you're adding percussion, side snares, open hats, anything that's like a short sound, try to look and try to avoid hitting things that are already there. Hey, hey, hey. tutorial, but this beat is coming out crazy. Let's do some hi-hats. This next tip might be kind of like an obvious one, but I feel like it's such an important tip to create variation in your drums without having to go crazy. Use rhythm subdivisions to your advantage. Now, I feel like as a producer, just like we learn scales and chords, at least some of them, it's really important to learn rhythmic subdivisions. This way you know what effect they have and what kind of mood they create and what kind of vibe they create. Like there are some of them that make things bouncier, there are some of them that make things like feel like they're dragging back in a good way. Some other ones, if applied correctly, they make you feel like a Latin feel. Some of them give you like a jazz vibe. Depending on how you use rhythm subdivisions, you can achieve a bunch of different vibes and moods and different bounces and stuff like that. So for this hi-hat part, I'm going to have 16 notes as like my base, and then I'm going to do some rolls with 30-second notes, 30-second note triplets, and maybe a couple 8 notes at the end. Here we go with tip number 5, which is use velocities to create dynamics. What does that mean? Now, if you have your drums playing all at the same velocity, you're going to achieve this result of like these like machine sounding drums. Now, this can be an okay thing if that's the sound that you're going for, but generally you want your drums to have a little more breath, a little more life to them. For example, the first thing that I want to do to these drums is fix the hi-hat a little bit. Right now, all the notes are the same velocity, and I want it to have 1 and 1. Now, usually when a drummer plays a pattern like this, like there's always a little bit of an accent on the downbeat. So it's like strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak. And you kind of want to keep that same vibe because it just sounds more natural, at least to me. Woo! Do you hear how much better that sounds? It's like groovier and bouncier. Perfect. Alright, I think we finally finished our drums. Let's get an 808 going and then we're done. Alright, the beat is done. It came out fire. Let me go ahead and mix, master it, arrange it a little bit, and I'll play you the final thing in 3, 2, 1.
EdTalenti on the beat.
And that was the beat. Before you click away, make sure to check out the links in the description. Sign up for the waiting list for Viper. My free sample pack is still free, so go download it. And yeah, alright, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe button, notification bell. Let's say 20K, we're getting close. Thank you. Also, if you have a question you want to ask privately, if you just want to say hi, whatever it is, Instagram is the best place to do it. Just shoot me a DM, and as soon as I can, I'll respond to you. Alright, I guess this is it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching the video all the way through. I'll see you next time, and as always, be positive, and positive things will happen.